Floyd Mayweather always came prepared with what he wanted to say and what he wanted this outfit to do. I made every outfit for Floyd Mayweather for every fight he had except for the last one, you know, and in every fight, he came with a plan, you know, on what he wanted and why he wanted it. You know what I'm saying? That's very important.
Your range has got to be out of this world to be able to create all of these.
And you can see that with his philosophy in life.
Yeah.
He don't care what you think.
Welcome to Cousins, everyone. I'm Vince Carter, right here. My real cousin.
What up, y'all? We want y'all to be a part of the fam, so make sure y'all subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts and keep up with us on social by following @VinceandTMac. Shout out to our presenting sponsor, FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. VC, today is an amazing day.
It is an amazing day. Today, we have an originator. We have a fashion pioneer, a motivator, referenced in hip-hop, music, Time 100 most influential person in 2020. His real name is Daniel Day. If you're not familiar with him, he's known as Dapper Dan. Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Dapper is in the building.
Yeah.
With the boys, the cousins.
Yeah, I done had a few names because I done been into a few games.
So when you have a nickname, Dapper Dan, as popular, and we all know you for that name, and until he just read it, no one knows the real name or the origin behind Dapper Dan. Could you tell us?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Give us that.
Okay, so
where'd that come from?
I got the name Dapper Dan from the original Dapper Dan, right? So he was in our neighborhood. He's from, like my family, from South Carolina. Geechees, what we call Geechees, right? And I grew up learning how to gamble and hustle, and he was one of my teachers, right? He went away to jail, and when he came back from jail, I let him hang out with me.
Say that again?
I let Dapper Dan, the original Dapper Dan, who gave me the name Dapper Dan, hang out with me.
Because out with you, and you took the man name. Damn.
Yeah, and you could go and ask anybody in Harlem about this story. Mm-hmm. I exceeded his ability, you understand, to hustle as a street hustler. So that's how I became popular as Dapper Dan, because I was a gambler. And Dapper Dan was a gambler. He was a gambler, pimp, pickpocket, player. He was all that. And when he came home to get money, I let him hang out with me, you know, travel around with me, and we got money together. And that's how I got the name. It come from my neighborhood there.
Now, let me ask you this. Did you have a nickname prior to Dapper Dan?
I had a lot of nicknames. It depended on what I was doing at the time. To get chicks, you had to be able to play basketball or dance. You know what I'm saying? And Pee Wee and Joe Hammond, they had basketball on lock. So I had dancing on lock. You know, we grew up in the Afro-Cuban dance era.
Yeah.
You could still, I could still cut a good rug.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I came up dancing. That was my cue. So everybody, all the dudes like to hang out with me because, you know, it's like, especially the athletes. When I go into a club, I go and make a statement. I'm a dance. I don't drink, don't smoke, and do nothing. But I snatch one of the chicks up, and we gonna dance, and I'm gonna cut, and I'm gonna show them how to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna show them. I bring the chicks over and introduce them to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's always been my forte on the social level. But also from Dapper Dan, I learned how to dress. That was the first thing I had to learn how to do. You know, Harlem style, you know, old style, and how to transition that dress to acclimate myself to every generation that came behind me. You know what I mean?
Your name has been mentioned in a lot of songs by hip-hop artists. Do you have a favorite line or bar or
Rare G on my chest? I don't need Dapper Dan.
Hold up. I'm glad we can clear something up now. What did Hov say about me?
Rare G on my chest. I don't need Dapper Dan, but we need him today.
So many young people always ask me, yo, Dap, why he say that about you? They didn't know. Do you know?
I do not know.
Do you know?
I do not.
That just showed you. You know what it was? Fat Joe used to come to the store back in the day. You know what I mean? Fat Joe was going at
Jay.
Was going at Jay. He said, what you know about so-and-so, this and that, and Dapper Dan? So what he was saying back in the day, Jay used to hang out with Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah.
So he didn't have, he wasn't getting that kind of money that I was charging back then. so he couldn't patronize then. So that's what Fat
I
Joe
like.
was talking about when he got at him.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So his comeback was, I don't need that
Right.
then because I got the G on my chest. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
yeah,
That had
yeah.
nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of the rap game.
Yeah. No, he bless you. He bless you.
Yeah,
He bless you.
but what people don't know, when that came out, he was on tour with Dapper Dan Jackets. You know, him and Foxy Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all part of the rap game.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the artist that has mentioned you in their songs?
No, I really.
Pusha T, Little Uzi Vert,
Huh?
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Biz Markie.
Biz Markie, I knew
Yeah.
that.
And then Cool G Rap and DJ Polo also.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you've been mentioned. So you are well mentioned.
Yeah. Dapper Dan came out before social media, right? So I happened to be born in Harlem among four brothers who were very popular. All four of us were very popular. Everybody knew. I knew all the elements. You know, you can go and ask anybody in Harlem, all the elements of the street. So I was already popular in the street. Me, Nicky, and I'm right under Nicky Barnes and all the gangsters. Every gangster in Harlem knew me and knew my brothers, you know? So I already had that connection to the influencers, because the influencers before the athletes, before the rappers, was the gangsters.
Yeah, for the street
You know
guys.
what I'm saying? And I blended right in with the gangster. I come from a gangster culture. So I already had that connection. So how did I become popular? I was dressing the gangsters. Right? So now when you dress the gangsters, there's no social media, but guess what?
At what age are you dressing the gangsters?
At this time, I'm like 39, because I had walked away from the gangster culture.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I had already been in the street. And that's what gave me the idea. I say, well, I'm from the street, so let me cater to the street. And I like fly stuff. I know they like fly stuff, so let me accommodate them. So that gave me a way of walking away from the corners and getting involved in fashion.
Yeah.
But what made me popular in fashion, I'm dressing the gangsters. So how did I get so well known? What do gangsters do? They go to all the major events. They go to all the big games, all the fights, all the social events. And everywhere they go, people are saying, yo, where they getting this Gucci from? Where they getting this from? So they go into the stores, the Gucci stores, the Fendi stores, and asking for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they find out
We don't have that.
they don't make it,
Right.
you know? So they you know, gangsters meet gangsters. Gangsters from Detroit, Chicago, you know, Atlanta, all the gangsters, they interacting with each other, say, yo, homie, where you be getting that from? And they found out I was coming from Dapper Dan. Now I got all the gangsters around the country coming to Harlem.
Yeah. So I guess take us back to age 12 and 13 when you were a gambler.
Oh, yeah.
And how did you get to that point of becoming a gambler as such a young boy, you know, to being 12 and just hitting a teenager?
Yeah. I got to do y'all like I do everybody else, but moving on. I got to take y'all for a walk in Harlem.
Let's go.
I'll tell y'all the
Take us
story.
through
Let's go.
Harlem,
Let's go
please.
through a walk.
Yeah,
Take
look,
us.
I like you to hear from the people who I did it to. I'm the best gambler. Come out to Harlem. They'll tell you that. You know, they will tell you that. That's why when people call me, I say, I don't want you to get it all from me. Let's take a walk through Harlem. You know what I'm saying? And you hear it firsthand from the people who see me. Well, how did I learn so much about gambling? My uncle, Fishman Eddie, was a master gambler. And he taught me my first tricks about craps and cards. And then I grew up during the rent party era. Y'all know what a rent party is? You know, where your family had to have a party. You know, they had a circle of people.
Yeah.
You had to have everybody got a chance to have a party, and they had poker, you know what I'm saying? Chicken, collard greens like that there.
Yeah,
so I
you
first learned from my uncle, Fishman Eddie, and he taught me all about cards and crap. And then I learned from a master hustler, a guy named Killer in my neighborhood. His name is Killer, right? And he was teaching all of us young guys all about gambling. You know what I'm saying? That's when he's the one that told me that the word gambling itself is for suckers, because it's all mathematics. You know what I'm saying? It's based on the law of probability. And he taught me all about the law of probability. I exhausted all the learning in Harlem from all the old timers till they couldn't teach me no more. But I learned from my brother and reading Malcolm. Malcolm said, if you want to understand the flower, study the seed. So when I exhausted any information, I couldn't get it out of nobody, I go get a book. So I went and got books by John Scarney, on craps, John Scarney on cards. John Scarney, at that time, when he was alive, he was the advisor to the United States government on casinos. And I read all his books. So I was a master. By the time I was 14, 15, I had already mastered gambling. So everybody in Harlem used to call me Gambling Danny then, before I was Dapper Danny, because I hadn't opened up the store yet. So I had a reputation of being Dancing Danny, then Gambling Danny, and those nicknames catapult me into the person I am today.
You became a gambler at such a young age, and then, you become this guy that all the rappers and the street gangsters come to for their fashion.
Yeah, I know where you're going, and I'm going to take you there right now. Like, what was that transitioning stage? That's a good point, right? So now I'm stuck in the street. Me and all my brothers, all four of us got charged with selling drugs.
Okay.
Right? And there was a guy named John Stanton who taught us all how to sell drugs. We were 13, 14, 15, like that, then 16. He taught us how to drug, right? The same detective bust all four of us. So we all in the precinct together. And my oldest brother said, did you hear that knock on the door? I said, yeah, I heard a knock. He said, that's the snitch that was on the other side of the door telling on us.
Wow.
Right? And then we found out the snitch was the guy who taught us how to sell drugs. John Stanton. I said, oh man. I told my brothers after that, that's it for me.
You out.
Right? I dropped out of the street after that and went back to school. I changed my whole life. But I'm still in the hood. It made me come up with a new philosophy, and that is, you cannot be in it and not of it. So I realized at that point that the same conflicts that was taking place in the neighborhood was going to, sooner or later, affect me in a certain way. No matter whether you're innocent or guilty, you become part of the chaos that develops as a result of that.
Talk to us about you opening up your boutique, and talk to us about the reason you started outfitting, these rappers and gangsters, because the big luxury brands wasn't messing with hip hop at that time.
Right.
So talk about why you created that.
When I started out, I know that clothes transforms you. You feel what I'm saying? So I grew up really poor. Like I told you, I had older brothers. I never got nothing that was new. Everything was always a hand-me-down, All my clothes was hand-me-downs until I learned to hustle. But one thing I noticed, like, I would sneak my brother's clothes out the house, and wear them and go to 125th Street. Nobody knew how broke I was. It immediately transformed the way people saw me. And I saw the magic in clothes, and I saw the power of clothes. And then when I walk away from everybody, I was Dapper Dan, everybody knew I was fly.
Okay, speaking of, let's talk about Harlem. I want to talk about Pee Wee Kirkland. You mentioned him earlier in Joe.
Yeah,
Hammond.
we grew up together. He grew up poor too.
Correct.
Poor as hell, holes in his shoes too. We both. That's what made us who we are, man.
Right, and you were an icon in the street. And these guys were basketball icons, legends, and obviously at Rucker Park. What was Rucker Park like at that time? And then when you walk into Rucker Park,
you better be careful.
What was
careful.
Dapper
I got
Dan?
something to tell you, boy.
Yeah, what was Dapper Dan looking like?
Let me take my jacket off.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
all that stuff y'all doing now. Come on, man. Well, I saw it first now.
Yes.
I saw it first now. Yeah. All right, okay, I'll let y'all get a little bit of that now. Yeah. I saw it first now. Let me tell you, before Pee Wee, before all of them, y'all might know about maybe Marcus Haynes or somebody like that. You dig what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I saw it firsthand. You dig what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you something. All that crossover stuff and all y'all doing, you know who really mastered that?
I don't. Who?
Pablo Robinson. Did you ever heard of him? Pablo Robinson used to turn out. The reason why y'all didn't hear Pablo Robinson with the crossovers, because in the game when it started, all of that was carrying. But Pablo Robinson, all that tricky stuff, he was doing all that crossover, but they would call on him. So I saw it in its inception. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When it first started.
Yeah.
You dig? So now, therefore, Rucker Park was the first garden. You dig? So when Pee Wee and Joe Hammond, they came, Pee Wee was so fly. He came with two girls. You dig what I'm saying? Sitting on the bench, fly as hell. Yeah. Jewelry spilling off his wrists and stuff. Dig? Mm-hmm. Joe Hammond, we all come from the same neighborhood. Nicky Barnes, all of us, we all come from the same neighborhood. So we all had the same support. system, you know? So when Joe came and Pee Wee came, it was like, that was our garden, you know?
Yeah.
That was our playoff.
Yeah.
That was our everything. If Joe and Pee Wee fouled out, everybody leave the stadium. Everybody, bro, you see the old footage, everybody up on the roof and stuff. That's what it.
So that's why my follow-up question, were you there the day Dr. J came out there and played?
No, I would drop Joe off. You gotta get me and Pee Wee and Joe together if you want to rehearse. I would drop Joe Hammond off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a master gambler too, you know.
Yeah.
I'd drop him off and say, I'll be back to get you. And I'd go gamble.
So you didn't stay at the park.
Huh?
You went and gambled. You didn't stay at Rucker Park and watch the game.
I
You
was
went and
gambling.
gambled.
That was their thing. I come out for the excitement, kill. You know, we homies, you know, but I'm going to trim me somebody. You know what trim me, right? I'm going to trim me somebody.
Right now, new FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins.
That's right. Turn $5 into $250 in bonus bets just for getting started.
And when every possession matters in the playoffs, FanDuel makes it easy to get closer to the action. From player props on your favorite stars to all the tools you need to back them up.
FanDuel puts player research right at your fingertips so you can check stats, trends, and matchups all in one place and make your picks with confidence.
It's everything you need all in one app. So don't miss your shot. Head to FanDuel.com/cousins to get started.
FanDuel, play your game.
21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DC, Kentucky, Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 for first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat, Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org, Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY, New York. Call 1-877-770-7867, Louisiana. Who was that first artist in hip hop, let's say, you work with? Because you work with Big Daddy Kane is one of the guys, but who was that first artist that you work with where you said, let me tap in and focus a little more, not focus on, but kind of bring the
Some funny
music
stories
world
gonna come out of this. I got to spare somebody's feelings. The rappers didn't have no money.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And I done called out them rappers. They used to come to me to get credit, you know? And the first rappers that came, they were being sponsored by gangsters.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that they were young at the time.
That's still going on today.
Yeah, it's still going on
Yeah.
today. Being sponsored by gangsters. And I knew at the time that they didn't understand. They 19, 20, 21. I'm already 39. I know what they're going through, right? And I would give them credit and stuff like that. But Teddy Riley is a friend of mine, and I got a check from him that bounced. I didn't understand what had happened. But later on, I found out that his manager had cheated him.
Mm.
You know what I mean? LL had owed me money and never paid me. But his manager also cheated him, and he went through, right? KRS-One and them, they had owed me money. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't get. I gave everybody credit, and if you didn't have no money, it was all right. But they just never came back
Right.
to support.
Right. Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know? You can owe me, but don't call me.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? You know, my catapult to where I am now is because of the second wave of rappers
Mm-hmm.
who went looking for where this came from. And now it's the third wave and the fourth wave because they all going back. Everybody wants to go back to that original form. So those are the ones who pay more attention to it, right? And that first generation, when you look at them, all them rappers in their 50s, they can't let it go. You see how they dress? They can't let it go. That is so essential.
Yeah.
What I did in the 80s is so essential to who they are now that they have to keep dressing like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to call names, but you know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they have to keep dressing like that.
Yeah.
But it's the new rappers, the A$AP Ferg and the A$AP Rockies and all the young ones coming out of Harlem and the Bronx and around the country. Those are the ones that are generating the excitement.
For sure.
I do not dictate fashion. I translate culture. So I pay attention to where the culture is going, you know, And when you see the stuff I did for the rappers and you go back and you see what I was doing, what I was wearing, all that is tied into the culture. You know what I mean? And as the culture changed, I changed with the culture. So even when the athletes came, I asked them how they feel, you know, how they want to represent themselves. Here's a case in point. When Mike Tyson had that big fight in my store, remember Mike Tyson had that fight in my store with Mitch Green?
Mitch Blood Green.
What was he coming to get? He was coming to get a jacket that says, "Don't believe the hype." You know what I'm saying? So what is the significance of that jacket? He was making a statement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He wanted everybody to know, man, all these stories y'all hear about me now. So what did that do? What does the jacket say? The jacket says...
And Public Enemy had a song.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Don't believe the hype.
That's right. All that tied in. So that's when you tap into the culture, right? Public Enemy had the song out, you know, revolutionary song out. Mike is revolting against the system, you know what I'm saying? And Dapper Dan is making clothes that makes that statement for them. You see, like, okay, here's another case in point. Eric B. and Rakim. You know, Eric B. come, he want a jacket made. Rakim, they come, they want these outfits made, right? So I asked them, how you want to be represented? Rakim said, I'm a 5%er. So I put the 5%er sign on the back of him because that's what he stands for. Eric B. said, yo, man, I'm Playboy. So Rakim wanted the 5%er sign, and Eric B., he's a swag boy, so I put the Gucci sign on the back of him. But I say that to say this. Everybody who comes in, I make them something that's fly and consistent with what styles is going on at that particular time, but I let it reflect who they are.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say I don't dictate fashion, I translate culture. So you tell me what you're about, and I'll create an image for you that says that.
So when, let's say we walk in, we having this conversation, and then you base the conversation off how the piece that you're gonna make, jacket, clothing, whatever, outfit, off of that conversation, basically. So if I say, oh man, I love flying through the air, dunking on people, then that now you found your inspiration for that customer.
You create that story through the fashion.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? So since we're on that topic, my most fascinating customers, like I said, I translate culture, is the ones that know what they're about. Yeah. So when Mike came for that jacket, he knew what he was about for that moment. When Eric B. and Rakim came, they knew what they was about when they ordered them jackets, you know? And that's one of the things that I liked about Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather, especially Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather had me create outfits for his mindset for every fight. You know, one in particular, he said, this kind of like spiritual thing here. One in particular, when he was fighting, what's the name, the Mexican guy, he said, I want you to make me a whole Mexican outfit.
Yeah.
You understand? And it's something like when you dress like your enemy, you're taking power away from your enemy. I say, Floyd got so deep at different times, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so Mike, I got busy with Mike outside the ring, because inside the ring, Mike didn't want special clothes. You know, he come out like a werewolf. We come out with just a towel around. He wanted to be a beast.
Yeah.
You know, so the towel was good for him, right? But the one thing Mike said, and that was important about what I make for him, he said, I just want you to make me shorts. He said, because after the third round, I sweat so much, the shorts start getting heavy.
So I got a bone to pick with you.
Okay, pick it.
You know he took his jackets off now.
He took his jacket off.
Ready.
You created these masterpiece pieces for, you know, all of your clients by taking someone else's logo and putting it on your clothes.
Okay.
And we see what those brands are today because of you in our culture. They wasn't like that, right, back in the days. You created all of this, right?
That's exactly right.
Dapper, my guy.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't you create your own logo?
Why?
And put on those
black
clothes?
People wouldn't accept it. Let me tell you who my customers.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? Black people wouldn't accept it. You know what I'm saying? How did I become popular? Know when I become popular? When the white folks said, damn, look what he did. When white folks looked at what I was doing, they said, damn, look what he did. How did James Baldwin, how did some of the great writers and poets, how did they become popular? They went to Europe, where white folks could appreciate what they were saying and what they was doing. Well, same thing happened to me, but I was studying. I studied, you know, the whole Harlem Renaissance. I studied black history. I studied ancient history. So I knew what to expect. You follow what I'm saying? My customers was not middle-class black people. My customers was not upper-class black people. And I hadn't got the white people yet. My customer was gangsters who didn't care about what you say is fly or what the status quo is there. If it's fly, they say we like it. And what does that remind you of? Jazz. We did the same thing with the, you know, when you hear My Favorite Things, you know what I mean? And you hear the two versions of My Favorite Thing. That's what I did with clothes. I made clothes, I Africanized it, I blackanized it, you know? And then my people didn't understand it until the gangsters and rap culture started to pick off. Now, the rappers wanted to be like the gangsters. The gangsters already accepted me. They knew I'm not fly dude from here, right? In fact, it was a key gangster, Jack Jackson, right? Jack Jackson is the one who told on John Gotti, brother Gene Gotti,
Yeah.
right? Jack Jackson came to the store one day, right? Now, I'm making furs and leathers and all this exotic stuff. You know what I mean? Because I know I want to elevate the culture. I had never made what they call street culture. They done messed up the whole way you refer to our culture from that level. I'm gonna fix that though. But anyway, I always made luxury.
Yeah.
Because the gangsters want luxury. They want furs and diamonds, and that's who they were. So I made for them. Now the rappers wanted to be like the gangsters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They wanted to be like Jack. So Jack is coming to the store. Now, here's where the transition takes place. Jack comes in with a Louis Vuitton pouch, right? All the LVs all over.
Yep.
And he's pulling $100 bills out. Jack got this souped up, you know, Mercedes. So whenever Jack pull up to the store or Mike pull up in the store with the Rolls Royce, the whole neighborhood, yo, so-and-so's over Dap. So-and-so, every artists come or... you know, athletes come, the hood pulling up to Dap, you know? So Jack comes and he's pulling these $100 bills out, right? And everybody gets excited about this bag he got, this pouch.
Yeah.
And I look at that pouch, I say, I'm making clothes, man. I done studied the whole clothes game. I say, they excited about that pouch. That pouch ain't but $5 worth of vinyl. You dig? I say, that's $5 worth of vinyl. The bulb went off in my head. I say, imagine if I can have everybody in Harlem walking around looking like luggage. I can make more off that than I was selling a mink coat, you know, or an alligator crocodile jacket. So that's what started me using the logo. But I use them in a way that has never been used before. The same way we did with music. We created music in a way, we ain't come here speaking English. We took English, their language, and we took their musical forms and transformed them into a culture, you know, that was suitable for us. And that's what I did with fashion, intentionally. You know what I'm saying? I knew what I was doing. I knew the direction I was headed, and that's how it sprung.
Yeah.
Real quick, when you're now labeled the king of knockoffs, how did you take that?
I said, I got them.
Got 'em
You know what I
thinking.
mean? Because now they're trying to find a way to suppress what I've done.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't call jazz knockoff,
Yeah.
you know? Right?
So, but I asked you that question because looking back, have you ever did you ever think about, man, I should have created my own logo because of what became what I was able to do?
No.
No.
It wasn't the thing to do. I needed to be global before I did anything. That's why I never took on, you see how everybody went to, you know, how the black brands was reaching out. I don't want to start talking about them, but the black brands was reaching out for assistance after they got in trouble. They created logos. Why they ain't here now? You know, because they didn't understand. They didn't pay attention to the architecture that I put in motion. You know what I'm saying? And I'll go into that in a little while. But it wasn't ready. The people have to be ready. You know what I mean? And for me to be successful, I had to first be global. Do you understand? I had to find a way to be global without being controlled. So if I'd have came out with a logo, they'd have been knocking me off.
Right.
Back to back. And I had no support. You know, I didn't have
financial backing.
You know, the backings. Who I'ma sue? I can't sue nobody. I ain't got nobody to sue nobody. Well, you know. So it wasn't the time.
And did you feel doing a logo now? The big payback is now they're knocking off yours. your logo, your stuff that you're making off of your logo.
Yeah, but see, one of the rappers said, or one of the guys said, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. You dig what I'm saying? But I didn't look at it quite that way. I looked at it as like when those at the top copy you, you're at the top now. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So I looked at it like that. Okay. So this is interesting, right? When I got the partnership with Gucci, right? So, I'm pro-black all the way. When I found out they had been knocking me off, raiding me, taking on my machine 3 or 4 times, and now they sent it for me, I told them, I said, hold up. Okay, we can do a partnership, but you got to come to Harlem. You had to give me my place in Harlem where it all started. You know what I'm saying? In addition to that, I have to be able to create the same way I've been creating. In other words, I will use the logos from Gucci, but they'll be all my creative style. In addition to that, we can have a partnership, on the regular merchandise that we create together, and that was sweet. So I got pictures of them in Harlem, them with the brownstone, us walking through Harlem with them. Everybody got to walk through Harlem, so Gucci walking through Harlem to announce that they're here. So now what did I do? I created this universal concept that people in Africa and Asia didn't know where it was coming from. Now they know. You know what I'm saying? That's why I told them they had to come to Harlem.
Yeah.
It had to come from where it started at.
Imagine a home where your Wi-Fi just works. Can you imagine that?
You mean streaming even with the whole family online? Multiple devices? Yeah, I can imagine that.
Thanks to Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Your guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need it the most. We're talking next level experiences, fast connections, and the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi so you don't miss a play, like right before a game winner.
Plus, you even get incredible gaming speeds and no one battling for bandwidth.
Most importantly, you get the ultimate fan experience. No contracts, no commitments, and everything you need included, all with the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee.
Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Restrictions apply. Select plans only. Xfinity Internet is powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Most reliable claim based on Opensignal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Report, May 2025, XB6+.
Hey, Cuzzo. Did you know that the average employer has to sort through roughly 250 resumes per job opening? Man, that's a full-time job on its own.
Well, cuz, if you're hiring, I got good news for you. You can now review all these resumes and applications faster thanks to ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter has a new feature that instantly shows you the most interested, qualified candidates first. And today, you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/cousins.
With ZipRecruiter's new feature, all-star candidates who are very interested in your job show up at the top of your list. So it's no surprise that ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2.
Cut through the standard and get the standouts with ZipRecruiter.
4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
And now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/cousins.
That's ziprecruiter.com/cousins.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. We were talking about some of the names that you work with. Tell me about you working with the Fat Boys, and you did the collaboration with the Gucci and the shoe.
Fat Boys.
Correct. Like, what was that? How did that collaboration come about? And now you see your work now on film.
Well, it didn't come easy. Dig what happened to me, right? Ted Demme was the producer of Yo MTV Raps, right? That was one of the coolest Jewish kids in the world. Anytime something was taking place at Dapper Dan, he said, just call me, man. I'm coming with the film crew. He kept me on film, kept me alive, kept me pumping with the Fat Boys. LL Cool J, Eric B. and Rakim. Every time somebody pop up, they pop up. Now we getting popular. We done built the momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Dapper Dan and Roberts, we built this momentum. Who's paying attention? The brands is paying attention. Who pops up? Andy Hilfiger, right? Andy Hilfiger pops up and start giving out jackets, to the rappers and all of that, right? So this is the most important if there's any sense of resentment, it comes from this part. It was a 3-part program they used to try to erase me from, history and existence, right? One, they kept raiding me. Every time they raided me, I had to remake anything that I had for customers and buy new machinery. They took all my machinery, and I had to do that 3 times, right? The second thing is they give jackets to the rappers and start reaching out to the rappers, right? The third thing is they went to Yo MTV Raps and said that if you show anything made by Dapper Dan, we're not advertising with you.
Wow.
And then from that point, go back and look at all the old MTV raps. You see that all the rappers that had things that I made, it was blurred out. It's because of Dapper Dan, they invented the blur. Go back and look at all the old footage from Yo MTV rap. Anything made by Dapper Dan, they blurred it out. So those are the 3 points. They think I was asleep. That's how they sought to crush me.
Well, they don't want us to.
But I didn't give up. I stayed in the underground, catering to the hustlers for 30 years, but I didn't give up. I refuse to be pigeonholed as street fashion. I always did luxury. They're pushing that on people. I've always did luxury. You know what I'm saying? And my philosophy has always been, if you a person of color and you think you're gonna start on the bottom and make it to the top, forget it. You know what I mean? You gotta wait till the top come calling. You understand? And then you can stop at the top like I did with Gucci, and you can go up and down the staircase like I did with Puma. You know, and like I do with Puma, with the Gap, you know, then you could do that. But I'm already known as somebody who luxury, but you don't do a lot of it because you get stuck there. All those black brands got stuck right where they are because they didn't have no reputation of being pure luxury.
So I want to talk about resilience. I think as athletes, when you play 22 years, play 15 years, there's always going to be some challenging times to, where you have to show your resilience. And I think for you, you've created this cultural fashion hub in Harlem for all these years for your people, and only for 1992 for that to get shut down. Talk to us about the resiliency of your comeback 25 years later. And it doesn't even have to be in fashion, but it could be.
Great question. You know why? That was so important to me. I never abandoned my community. Now, I don't want to call out names, but you cannot go out in the world and make it and then neglect where you come from and then get a problem and think you can come back and get accepted. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
People are too conscious now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm born in Harlem, raised in Harlem. I bought me a brown school in Harlem. I'm never leaving Harlem. You know what I mean? When you walk down the street with me, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
My base, I never neglected my base. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of guys, I don't want to mention their names, they enter problems, you know what I mean? And their base is their biggest voice. But when you
leave your
alienate your base
and try to come back and get that same love, it's not there no more.
That's right. So when you alienate your base, your resiliency is almost collapsed. So if the people upstairs dump you and you haven't been true to downstairs, where you going?
You're searching.
All right, cuzzo, it's time to pick a side. Presented by FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA, and our betting line. Will the Nuggets win the championship? What do you have?
This is a tough one. I think the Denver Nuggets have reloaded and put themselves in position to give themselves the best possible chance to compete for a championship, being that
You meant by roster-wise, right?
Roster-wise, by reloading with shooting, 3-and-D guys, and health. Seeing what OKC has done and what they did last year to win a championship, seeing how good they are and have been this year, new guys stepping up, giving them more scoring, more defense. They look as strong, if not better, than last year. Their best player, better than last year. Their second best player didn't play half this season, came back and picked up where he left off. their third best player better than last year. So I just think Nuggets organization did what they were supposed to do to reload, give themselves the best chance. Cool. I just think it's hard to go against this well-oiled machine that has hit the ground running, no championship hangover, told us personally from the get-go, we're hungry for another one. We're not satisfied. Like, I believe them. You know, you hear guys sometimes when they say, like, all right, cool, they're saying it because that's what you're supposed to say to the media. I believe them when they said, each and every one of them, but particularly their best three, said
They were still hunting.
yeah, like we're not satisfied. We want another one. Like, so and watching them go and handle their business at the beginning of the year without J-Dub, I just think they are primed and ready to go because they've given their new guys who's now accepted new roles opportunities to thrive in their offense to really fit into what they have going on. I'm going
So
with
you're picking
OKC.
OKC. Okay. OKC it is. I like this actually. OKC has, being the number one seed, I think they have the easier path. On the other hand, the Denver Nuggets, if Ant-Man is not 100%, of course I'm going with the Denver Nuggets in that series. And then they got San Antonio.
So what
right
you're
there,
saying is if Ant-Man is somewhat healthy, what are you saying?
No, I'm saying it's going to be a hard-fought series for Denver if he's healthy. I still think Denver is going to win that
okay.
series. I'm just going down like, you know, the challenges that they face to get to each other. San Antonio and Denver Nuggets, man. That's where the Denver Nuggets is going to have to be perfect. And perfect in which they're going to have to beat them in like 5 or 6 games. Because you take them to 7 games and then you got OKC.
You're giving a young, yep.
That's
just think about that. You're going to have a hard-fought first round.
Yeah.
Minnesota. Whatever that means, you got to get rid of them in 5.
For sure.
Just to have the energy to deal with the Spurs, potentially 6 to 7 games. And then if you happen to get through that, now you have OKC to get through to possibly get to the final. I mean, you're possibly spent just getting out of the West before the Eastern Conference final. I mean, before the NBA Finals actually happens, you know? So, woo.
I like Denver a lot. I really do. I think they have the depth to withstand whatever OKC throws at them. Here's the question I have.
What is it? What are the players that you said you like? Because I know you talked about this throughout the year.
So I like, you know, Peyton Watson, young player, has gotten a lot better this year, right? Dealt with some injuries, but he's gotten a lot better. Tim Hardaway Jr., I think, is having his best season of his career shooting the ball. Cam Johnson dealt with some injuries a little bit, but I still trust him. Bruce Brown is just going to give you energy on both sides. Like he's a guy that can win you one game just based off of his energy and things that he does on the basketball court. And then, you know, Jamal Murray, we haven't seen this Jamal Murray come out the gates the way he's come out. So he's that guy that can flip on that switch. And I'm sure he's going to turn that switch on in the playoffs. My thing is, this is a tale of 2 styles of play. You have the 1-2 punch in Jokic and Jamal Murray, that 2-man game, sprinkled with, you know, the other guys spread it out on the perimeter. Aaron Gordon shooting the ball extremely well, but also, you know, giving to you some fits inside offensive rebounds, creating those opportunities. And then you on the other side, you got OKC where, you know, it's Shea. It's the Shea machine. Shea is the guy that's going to have the ball. It's typically, you know, him going one-on-one. So what system do you trust? If they could get the ball out of Shea's hands and make somebody else create those opportunities for him, where Shea, you have to get Shea struggling. And if he's not struggling, then you're going to have a long series, and I'm going with OKC. However,
you're going with with who?
I'm going with OKC. I'm going with OKC.
I
love what Denver has done.
What a setup.
I'm just giving you.
No, I'm saying you set that up to go the other way. I see you.
I did.
All right, good people. You go and pick your side on the FanDuel app. Tell us what you think. Sure, a lot of you are stumped as well, not sure which side to go to. But you know what? Go pick a side.
All right, so we got to talk about the tunnel, right? Of what you created back in your days and what NBA is globally. These guys walking in with their fashion, because back in 2004 or 5, for us, there was a shift in the dress code, and we had to be outfitted, dressed business casual, walking into our arenas. And I think for us, playing with guys like Kevin Willis, Charles Oakley, Muggsy Bogues, all these old guys, I want to say old guys, but old heads, older guys when we got into the league, and we learned from them in terms of like dressing. So when David Stern implemented that dress code, it was an easy transition for us. And nowadays, these guys walking in with, man, they look like $1 million, man. But that's a testament to what you created, though. And now it's globalized.
Okay, so let's keep it going here. 50% design, and the other 50% is mine. Let me tell you what the mine is, right? No matter what the design is, that could, even if you reach them, that could be temporary. But the mine goes on and on and on. The person you are, the person and the way the community sees you, that's the brand.
That's how you show up.
That's the brand. You dig what I'm saying? When them Wall Street dudes start coming in, I say, what these pinstripe dudes doing up in my joint? You did?
Yeah.
They would order something and say, I want your name on the back. You did? They say, damn, these Wall Street dudes.
Yeah.
Then they hit me. They're not buying the outfit. They're buying the way I think. They're buying into the person that I have become. You dig? That's bigger than style.
For sure.
That's style in itself.
They believe in
when somebody
your
wear a
vision.
Malcolm X hat, they're buying into Malcolm X, who he was. You know what I'm saying? So your contribution to the culture as a person is even more important and more lasting.
Yes, sir.
Than your contribution
so it's like
to style.
how we sold shoes.
Yeah.
They're buying the T-Max because of how you made them feel and what they feel like. If I put these on, I can become a version of.
And the story and the story that's told within that.
Yes.
Yeah, and within that brand, those shoes.
I tell the young designers all the time, don't die inside. What I mean by don't die inside, how did I make it? I made it by tapping into the culture. Everybody who came to see me to get dressed, I became part of how they see fashion. With the young designers today, they want to create everything from their head. And it might be great, but it might not be their time for that.
Right.
But, but if they're creating from the culture, then they always could be,
real quick
in the flow.
But it's also how you promoted your brand, yourself, and what you're trying to get out there also. It wasn't like you weren't looking for handouts. You were going out there, like you said, you were going
hustling.
out there, you were literally hustling to go get it. And I think that's also the other side of it, which is missing, in which we need to also teach is like, you got to go out there and get it. Don't expect a handout.
Very good.
Don't expect it.
Very
Go out
good
there
point.
and get it, because I feel like you have more of appreciation for when you do get it, because you've learned the steps from the bottom to the top, and you won't make those mistakes that like young guys are making, because we're skipping steps. I think today's culture, we want to skip steps to get to the end, but we won't go through the process to get there.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point, because my takeoff is like Wednesday night, amateur hour at the Apollo. You know what I'm saying? If your stuff ain't right, you're getting booed. I got booed a lot of times before I got it right. And they got
you have to fail before you succeed sometimes.
Exactly. But I had to know what success looks like. Success is not based on how I feel about something. Success is based on my clients and how they feel about something. So you got to tap into what they're feeling and that's why I say don't die inside, get locked into thinking what you think is fly.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I was going to ask you in terms of like being a young and up and coming designer, is you might have visuals of how you think you want your design to look, but you also got to have the adaptability to be able to create for your clients.
That's it.
Right?
That's
and
it.
if you don't have that,
That's it.
it's hard to obviously be successful in the business, right?
That's it. You got to tap into the culture. That's
Yeah.
what I say. I don't dictate fashion. I translate culture. You know what I'm saying? I go to the people. What did they want? What did I want? I wanted to be fly. I had to look at what fly looked like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what they got to do. Designers got to understand they have an obligation. You want somebody to buy your stuff, they got to feel good in your stuff. That's what I had to do. Wasn't no.
That's correct.
They laughed me off the block, man. You know, many a times if I wasn't right.
Yeah, so if any black designers out there, y'all reach out to us, cousins, because I will support you, but you got to be able to have that adaptability, and, you know, we have some vision so we can create some
and be willing to
masterpieces.
accept the constructive criticism of, because there's a lot that comes with it, because like you said, you're gonna sit at your house or whatever, you're gonna sit with your boys and think, I got one here. But then when you take it out and share it with the world, and, you know, I feel like sometimes you got to give a little for free to get where you're trying to go at the end.
Yeah.
To learn what the streets, what the people like and what they don't like. And you can't be so sensitive with the feedback. The feedback is what now elevates you to the next level. It's like, okay, I thought this was that, and maybe this is something I can shelf for later. But right now, this is what they're looking for. So let me give the people what they want, rather. Let me give the people what they want, and then I can kind of, once I become whatever, because sometimes I feel like, you think about old artists who put out music, if you didn't know them, you automatically don't give them an opportunity because you say it's trash. But when they become a name, they put that same song, I'd be like, yo, that shit's fire. Like, what? Y'all didn't like that 10 years ago,
You
5
warming
years
up
ago.
like hell over there, man.
Xfinity Court Connections is brought to you by Xfinity. One internet price, 5 years guarantee. Xfinity, imagine that.
So out of all the people you've designed or collaborated with, who did you have the most chemistry with? Like, who was that person, athlete, or whatever, client that you've worked with where you know what? We work well together.
Brand?
Or brand that you work with that you like, you know what? We work well
Hands
together.
down,
Our
Floyd
chemistry.
Mayweather. Hands down. You know why? He's always Floyd. Like sometimes you get a customer and they come with their friend. If you're paying attention, you know, you got to see who's the influence on the customer, whether it's going to be you or the friend. And when you figure out it's the friend, you dress the friend.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise the friend, when they leave, you're going to tell them, man, I ain't really like that. You know what I'm saying? But Floyd Mayweather always came prepared with what he wanted to say and what he wanted this outfit to do. I made every outfit for Floyd Mayweather for every fight he had except for the last one. You know, and in every fight, he came with a plan, you know, on what he wanted and why he wanted it. You know what I'm saying? That's very important.
Your range has got to be out of this world to be able to create all of
and
these.
You can see that with his philosophy in life.
Yeah.
Man. He don't care what you think.
Cuzzo, let me put you onto something I've been seeing more and more lately. It's called RK Zero Proof, and it's basically a way to enjoy the taste and feel of your favorite cocktails without any alcohol at all.
I'm talking 0 alcohol, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, but somehow it still gives you that same burn and experience you expect from a real drink.
They've got everything from whiskey and vodka to rum and tequila alternatives, so you can still have your go-to drink just without the downside.
Whether you're cutting back, staying sharp, you just don't feel like drinking, but still want that experience, this is definitely something worth checking out.
Go to rkzeroproof.com and see what they've got.
What are you most proud about being from Harlem?
I'm going to give you a little touch on that. Listen to this, why I'm so proud of Harlem. Think about all the black communities around the country over the last 100 years. What happened to them? They got bulldozed.
Gentrified.
All of them are gone. They erased all of them, you know, Wall Streeters and all them powerful communities.
Yes, sir.
They didn't do that to Harlem. They didn't do that to Harlem. You follow what I'm saying? We got something to be proud of. And the contribution we made, man. That's why I'm never leaving Harlem.
Yeah.
And I'm going to constantly talk about what it means, you know what I'm saying? To be from Harlem. Because when you come to Harlem, if you Malcolm, you Harlem. If you Marcus Garvey, you Harlem. You know what I mean? If you part of the Harlem Renaissance, you Harlem. All of that took place in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? When somebody go to the Vatican, you understand, to pray, they become part of what that is. Somebody go to Mecca and pray, they become part of that. You come to Harlem, you understand? And contribute to them, you can become part of what that is, man. Harlem is it.
Yeah. So we about to wrap this up. We're about finished. Is there there's anything you want to get off your chest, anything you want to say that you haven't spoken about?
I don't know.
Something that you want to dig up and you want it to come to surface.
Okay. Here it is, guys.
What you got for us?
Here it is. And I apologize ahead of time.
Nah, it's your
I'm
floor.
apologizing ahead of time to the women who might hear this and to the young people whose virgin ears might not understand what I'm going to say.
So in other words, earplugs.
Yep. The most important lesson that I ever learned was from those three people, my father, Malcolm, and the guy who taught me about gambling. And that lesson was never let your dick beat you hustling. When you allow your lower self to take charge of your life, disaster is going to follow.
That's a mic drop right there.
I was about to say, do we call that a mic drop?
That's
That felt like a mic drop.
That's a mic drop.
Thank you for being on our platform to tell your story and tell us about kind of what you've gone through. While we're at that, tell the people right here your book and where they can find it, because I feel like after they hear this, they will be very interested.
Yeah, my book is Dapper Dan, Made in Harlem. It's a New York Times bestseller. If you're looking for information about life, there's an abundance there. If you're looking for information, everything you want to know about Harlem but didn't know who to ask, there's an abundant information there. If you want to know about resiliency, there's an abundance of information there for you.
Go get Dapper Dan's book. No, I appreciate it. It's a fashion icon, a cultural icon. And thank you for blessing us, brother. Appreciate it. Great conversation.
This is part one. Part two is when we take that walk.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll do that.
All right.
Take that walk.
We'll walk through
I'll
Harlem
invite
with you
you
for
to my
sure.
I got a new spot in Harlem.
I appreciate it, bro.
Awesome.
We do. Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap. We appreciate you, Dapper Dan, for showing up and showing out and telling your story. Hey, tell the cousins what you got going on.
Y'all know what we do, man. Go into YouTube, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and don't forget to follow us on social at Vincent T. Mac. Dapper Dan, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
The man